recording is about to start. All right, sige. Hello everyone. Good morning again. Welcome to our class. This is Assistive Technologies na course, laboratory portion. Okay? Sige. Just a review before we begin the procedure for the knee joint. Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of applying the underwrap? Anyone? Sige, si Haven Bolinas. Miss Haven, can you open your microphone? Can you tell the class what is the purpose of the underwrap? Sige, comment if you want. You can comment also.
Sir, ng purpose, yes sir, is to protect the skin from rubbing and irritation.
Okay, yes, very good. It's just to protect the skin from the chemicals of our adhesion sa rigid tape. Very good. Okay, sige. Let's have Cyrus. Ma'am Cyrus, can you open your microphone? Sige. How many types of anchor do we have and how many turns ginabutang ang anchor or anchorage?
Sa distal and proximal, sir. Like,
How many?
3 turns, sir.
All right. Sige. Just a review. Thank you very much, Cyrus. Just a review, Anay. Ma'am Pamela Espuerta, can you open your microphone? No? Your question is, what is the purpose of the vertical stirrup in ankle taping? What is the purpose of the vertical stirrup in ankle taping? Miss Espuerta, are you there?
Sir,
Yes, hello. Anong purpose ng vertical stirrup or vertical strips?
it supports the unstable ankle from injury, sir.
Okay, and it promotes what motion? Dorsiflexion or plantar flexion?
Vertical. Wait. Dorsiflexion, sir.
Dorsiflexion, very good. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. And let's have Miss Angelique. Ma'am Lisagis, can you open your microphone for your question? What is the purpose of the horizontal strip or the horizontal support in ankle taping?
Sir, this is for subtalar support to promote eversion.
Eversion, very good. Okay, sige. So far, medyo may mastery pa of the ankle joint. Very good. Now today, let's proceed to the taping of the knee joint. Okay, the application of the rigid taping in the knee joint. Okay, what ligaments are we trying to support in the knee joint? We are supporting the ACL, the PCL, the LCL, and the MCL. These four ligaments are the main stabilizers or the main static stabilizers of your knee joint. So yung apat na to, if each of this have a possible injury or has a injury or has a dysfunction, you can apply rigid taping for the knee joint. Okay, so again, what is the indications for the use of rigid taping? Dito sa tuhod natin, we have injury or dysfunction of ACL, PCL, MCL, and LCL, the four main static stabilizers of your knee joint. Nasulat sa notes? Yes, isulat sa notes para maging beautiful ang notes mo. Okay? Sige, by the way, your rigid taping, I forgot to mention last time, this is also for prophylaxis. Prophylaxis. Okay, tingin sa chat, I will type there prophylaxis. What is prophylaxis? Ito. Prophylaxis. Okay, prophylaxis. If you can see in the chat, okay, na-type ko dyan, prophylaxis. What does that mean? Okay, it is to prevent injury or to prevent damage. Again, the purpose of rigid taping is also for prophylaxis. Meaning, wala ka pa damage, wala ka pa injury, nagbutang ka na rigid tape to prevent injury. So that is also another purpose of rigid taping. Pwede nga wala ka man yung problema, or pwedeng naayo ka na, you have recovered from a previous injury, and you want to make sure that it will not happen again. Yes, you can apply rigid taping for the purpose of prophylaxis. Do you understand what prophylaxis means? If you can understand what prophylaxis means, kindly type in the comment prophylaxis. Na natin. If you can understand, okay, prophylaxis, sige, mag-type kayo ng prophylaxis. If you can't understand, just raise your hand dito sa Teams. I will explain to you what prophylaxis is again. Okay, prophylaxis. Ayun, ang daming prophylaxis. Very good. Okay? We understand each other now, ha? Prophylaxis means to prevent injury. Isulat sa notes, i-underline mo, i-encircle mo, i-highlight mo, whatever. Basta pag prophylaxis, to prevent injury, you can apply rigid taping for the purpose of prophylaxis. Okay? Sige, let's proceed to the knee joint. Number 1 method, number 1 step, application of underwrap. Number 1, application of underwrap for rigid taping of the knee. Okay, so to apply underwrap, again, there is no specific method. Basta i-cover mo lang ang area where the tape might pass through. So it's just the purpose is just to protect the skin. So i-cover mo distal to proximal, pwede na yun. Okay? So kumbaga, this is my knee joint here. Okay, nakikita sa screen, knee joint. You just have to cover everything from distal to proximal. From your tibial tuberosity going up to the distal femur. Again, for the application of the underwrap sa knee joint, you apply underwrap distal to proximal. In the tibial tuberosity area, going up until you reach the distal femur. Okay, that's the application of underwrap. There is no specific method, basta for the purpose of protecting the skin. All right? Sige, let's proceed to step number 2, application of the anchor. Application of the anchor. So your anchor is dalawa pa rin, distal and proximal. Distal and proximal. How many turns? Tatlong turns pa rin po for your anchor. So, I've already placed my anchor in my knee joint. Here we go. Okay. I've applied my anchor already here. Proximal, distal, proximal, distal. Okay. How many turns? 3 turns. Tatlong turns pa rin. Proximal, distal, 3 turns. Okay, review natin. Step number 1, application of underwrap from distal to proximal. Step number 2, application of anchorage. Dalawa po. 1 in the distal, 1 in the proximal. How many turns? Tatlong turns. Did you get it? Okay, very good. Nakuha lang. Nasulat sa notes. Let's proceed. Okay. For the application of taping, kailangan yung knee naka-slightly flex. Naka-slightly flex or naka-full extension such as in standing. Okay, again, the application of your rigid taping. Okay, number 3, step 3 is the figure of 8. The position of the knee should be slightly flexed or fully extended in standing. Slightly flexed or fully extended in standing. If you have questions, just raise your hand now. Okay, again, let's begin with the figure of 8. Figure of 8 begins at the lateral, proximal, anchor. Again, figure of 8 for rigid taping begins at the lateral, proximal, anchor. Okay, I know this is my lateral. This is my left foot. The left foot ko ito. My small toe, my pinky toe. Ito, yung maliit na toe, my fifth toe is here in the lateral area. So lateral ito. Okay, you start with the lateral, proximal anchor. You will reach forward, you will turn forward, you will turn forward, you will cross anteriorly in the knee joint towards the medial, distal anchor. Again, you will cross anteriorly to the medial, distal anchor. So magkakross siya, magkakross yan. You can see it in the screen. Again, this is my lateral. Lateral ko dito, lateral. I will cross anteriorly to the medial, distal anchor. Ganun po yung first cross natin. We will cross anteriorly in the knee joint. Okay, we will cross anteriorly in the knee joint. Okay, are you following? Let's proceed. Okay, from the lateral, proximal anchor, cross anteriorly sa knee joint. We will go to the medial, distal anchor. We will turn around at the back of the knee. We will turn around at the back of the knee. Turn around at the back of the knee. And, okay, you copy and you follow, please. And from the distal lateral anchor, from the distal lateral anchor, okay, distal lateral, kasi nag-turn around na tayo. You turn around and from the distal lateral anchor, you cross anteriorly the knee again. You cross anteriorly the knee, going up naman po sa medial, proximal anchor. Medial, proximal anchor. So nag-cross po tayo sa harap ng knee joint. Okay, it starts from here sa lateral proximal, cross anteriorly to the distal medial. You go around the back of the knee. From the distal lateral this time, you cross anteriorly again. Para pumunta ka sa, medial kasi dito na ka sa inner thigh, medial, proximal, anchor. Your tape will go around the back of the thigh, and then the pattern will start all over again. Okay, mag-a-apply na ako ng tape ko. Mag-a-apply na ako ng tape. Again, ano nga? Lateral, proximal, anchor. We move anteriorly. We move anteriorly to the distal, medial, anchor. We go around the back of the knee. Tapos, dito naman siya, mag-a-arise the front of the knee. So you will see here an X mark. You will see there an X mark. Pag may X mark sa harap, then what you're doing is correct. Okay? What we're doing is correct. Continue tayo ng application. Lateral, proximal. Doon ka magsisimula. You go around the back of the knee at the bottom part. You go up. Cross the knee again. Okay, tatlong beses pa rin po ang pattern natin. Okay. Alright, there we go. Tatlong beses pa rin po. Okay, it's figure 8 because it turns around. One more pattern for you to see. One more pattern. Lateral proximal. It goes to the front, anterior the knee joint. And then it turns to the back of the knee, a distal portion. You go up again, crossing anteriorly. Then you go to the back of the thigh until you repeat the whole pattern over and over again. That is the knee application for rigid tape. Okay. How do you know if it is correct? How do you know if your application is correct? If you let the patient flex the knee, it will be difficult. Pag ako, naka-rigid taping ako, and I flex my knee, and it is difficult for me to perform, then what I have performed is correct. Okay? All right, so the questions, any clarifications? Na natin ang comments kung may questions. All right. If walang questions, ako yung magtatanong. Okay, ako yung may question. Let's have all for 3 times. Yes, that is correct, Sir Dean. Tatlong beses po for all procedures. Tatlong turns sa angkor, tatlong turns din for the figure. Okay, let's have Sir Nico. Can you open your microphone, Sir Nico? Hello, Mr. Dolendo, are you there? Yes, yes. Okay. We have a question here from Ma'am Angeli. Okay. Does it matter na dapat ang X mark ara is sa center? Okay lang if medyo pakilid. Okay. Okay lang if medyo kilid siya, but just make sure that the X is found anterior to the knee joint. Okay? Ang X dapat ara lang sa front ng knee joint. Hindi siya nga siya sa lateral or sa medial. Dapat ang X ara siya sa middle portion. Okay, okay lang if medyo nagpilid siya, basta ara siya sa front ng knee. Not necessarily nga siya sa kilid or not necessarily nga siya sa pinaka-lateral, ara sa pinaka-medial or ara sa back of the knee. Okay, dapat ang X mark naton ara sa front ng knee, hindi sa likod. Okay, because that X mark represents our restriction. Like dahil may X sa harap, then what is difficult for the patient is the flexion. Sir Nico, if you can open your microphone, can you tell us the summary of how to perform the figure of 8 for our meeting?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Batiyon ka, bro.
Yes,
Batiyon, no?
hear you.
So for step 1, Prof, ma-underwrap to protect the skin.
Correct.
Anyways, malang kay distal to proximal or basta matabunan lang ang skin.
Yes.
Then next is to anchor distally and proximally man Japon to para mag-provide kabla stability sa tape mo.
Yes,
Then
correct.
step 3, figure of 8. So ang position sang patient is slightly flex if sitting. Kung naka-standing naman niya fully extended.
Correct.
Tapos halin sa lateral proximal anchor, macross ka anteriorly to the medial distal anchor.
Correct.
Tapos ma-turn ka sa back of the knee and makadto ka sa lateral distal anchor pabalik sa medial proximal anchor. Tapos ma-back of the thigh, tapos sulit naman liwat sa sugod. 40 times.
Yes, very good. Okay, excellent work, guys. Okay, if ever, pag takod sang tape, nga duga halog-halog, kita nyo nang iban may gasiwil-siwil nga tape, it is okay to apply re-anchor. Again, if may mga siwil-siwil, if ever your tape is not having adhesions properly at the anchor, especially the end part, the terminal portion, it's okay to apply re-anchor. Yung re-anchor po, ina-apply siya doon sa anchor again, 1 turn na lamang because it is just re-anchor. Right? Nag-brown sila ng sir. Sige lang, our class is recorded. All right, sige. Let's proceed to the next She can also attend class on her phone if she wants. Okay, let's proceed to the next. We have our taping of the forearm and wrist. Forearm and wrist. Okay, sige. Forearm and wrist tayo. Okay na, let's proceed na. Move on tayo. Forearm and wrist. Okay, forearm and wrist taping. What is the purpose or the indication of application for the forearm and wrist? This is for injuries with hyperextension, MOI. Again, hyperextension mechanism of injury. Kasi the most common form of injury in the hand is through, ano gani? Push lang ng push. Basta upper extremity, ang main mechanism of injury is from fall on an outstretched hand. Remember? Push. Fall on an outstretched hand. Tingnan mo ang wrist pag naka-fall on an outstretched hand, naka-extension position. So pag ikaw na-fall on an outstretched hand and you have this hyperflexion sprain, no, hyperflexion injury sa wrist mo or sa forearm mo or in your palm of your hand, then you can apply the wrist and forearm rigid taping application. Okay? Sige. So if ganito, hyperextension, what action are we limiting? Pag ang MOI, hyperextension, what action or what direction are we trying to limit? Can you comment there sa comment section? If our mechanism of injury is push, fall on an outstretched hand, at alam natin naka-hyperextended yung wrist, what direction are we trying to limit or restrict? Okay, we are trying to limit extension motion of the wrist. Okay, the purpose of, yes, extension, correct po. The purpose of the application of the forearm and wrist rigid taping is to limit or restrict hyperextension or extension, which means what we are trying to promote in our forearm and wrist is flexion movement. Kasi when we fall on an outstretched hand, hindi naman nakaganon yung wrist. Diba? Kung madagdag ta, kung madagdag ta, madagdag ta, ang kamot ta, nagaamo na. Oh, wala man na siya nagabend. Okay? So pag ganito yung injury natin, we want to promote flexion, no, towards neutrality rather than promoting more extension. Okay? So wag ma-fall on an outstretched hand. Okay, sige. Let's have the forearm and wrist application. Number one, isulat sa notes mo, the number one method is the application of the underwrap. Underwrap pa rin po tayo, underwrap. In the application of the underwrap for your wrist, nagsisimula po tayo dito sa proximal portion, going up to the distal. Okay, but then again, that's just my recommendation. There is no specific method in application of underwrap kasi yung importante, basta ma-cover lang ang areas where our tape will pass through. Okay? So what I do, I start here distally, proximally going distal. Then I apply it figure of 8 dito sa wrist. And then i-anchor ko po yung underwrap dito sa my proximal portion of the wrist. So basta ma-cover lang po yung wrist. Okay, so again, underwrap application. Syempre, step number 1. The application is from proximal to distal, figure of 8, balik dito sa distal portion. For the last time, you listen carefully. Ito po yung underwrap application ng forearm and wrist rigid taping. I start here proximally, going distal, figure of 8, anchor dito yung underwrap sa distal portion. Alright, sige. Let's apply now our anchor. Step number 2, application of anchor. Where do we apply the anchor? Still, proximal and distal. Okay, the application of anchor, still the same, proximal and distal. Sige, mag-a-apply ako. I'll start here distal, assuming that I already have my underwrap. Okay, tatlong beses pa rin po. One here distally, and another one proximally. Tatlong beses pa rin. Ay, no, sana ko tape. Wait po, refill. Refill. Ubusan ko tape. Sorry, guys. Okay, ito na. One application, proximally. Tatlong beses pa rin po na turns. Okay, I hope we are clear with the application of anchor sa lahat ng body parts. One distal, one proximal. Mag-apply ka, tatlong rounds. Very good. Okay, step number 2, anchor application. Step number 3, okay, step number 3, isulat sa notes, application of your flexion stirrup. Application of your flexion stirrup or flexion support. Sulat sa notes, flexion support. Your flexion support, guys, this is applied in the direction of distal to proximal. Your flexion stirrup is applied, okay, in a pattern or in a direction of distal to proximal. Bakit kaya distal to proximal? What is the purpose? Can anyone comment, no, sa comment section natin? Why do you think distal to proximal yung application? Anyone? This is step number 3, application of the flexion stirrup. Okay, yes, nasa pangalan na po. That is correct, Ma'am Key. That is to promote the flexion. Okay? Promote po tayo ng flexion. So application natin distal, going to proximal to promote the flexion motion or the flexion direction. Okay, kindly put there in your notes, yung flexion stirrup is only applied once. The flexion stirrup is only applied once. Okay, so dito, distal. Kakat na po ako muna. Distal, going to where? Magpo-cross siya anteriorly sa wrist joint. Going to the proximal ankle. Okay, ayan po siya. Application of the flexion stirrup. Okay, isa lang siya. Where will your flexion stirrup pass through? Saan pong locations niya? Below the middle finger. Ito po yung middle finger, di ba? Middle finger. Ito siya, middle finger. Below the middle finger. Anterior the carpal tunnel. Anterior to the carpal tunnel. And anterior to the flexor tendons. Again, where is the location of your flexion stirrup? Dito po, below the middle finger. Below the middle finger. In front of your carpal tunnel. And in front of your flexor tendons. Yun po ang direction ng flexion stirrup mo. Distal to proximal. Isang application lamang below the middle finger. Anterior the carpal tunnel and anterior your flexor tendons. Okay, this is where things will get a little bit complicated. Let's go to step number 4, the application of your X strips. Okay, step number 4, the application of your X strips. Okay, X po siya kasi dito sa may lateral portion, lateral kasi nandito yung thumb ko, okay, lateral portion of your forearm, you will see an X mark. Similar to that of the knee joint. So may X strip po tayo makikita dito sa lateral portion of our forearm. Okay, your X strip begins. Okay, isulat sa note, begins Nasaan po yung beginning, sir? Okay, yung beginning, let's start here sa may front of the thumb. Front of the palm, anterior palm. Okay, dito sa my little finger area. Front of the palm, passing through the lateral portion of the forearm, attaching to the dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. You listen carefully. Confusing to. Medyo confusing to. Again, I start here. Beginning pa lang to ha. Beginning pa lang. I start here. My X strip sa my front. Okay. The anterior palm area or the palmar area. Crossing to the dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Dorsal to kasi nasa dorsal part na ko. Dorsal part of your forearm. Tapos, lateral kasi dito siya sa my little finger na area. Okay? So it starts here sa my little finger. It ends here sa my lateral portion pa rin. Okay? But it crosses sa harap. Okay? Lateral, dorsal, proximal. Proximal anchor po ito. Okay? Gina-switch ko lang ha. Proximal anchor. Okay? That's the beginning. So mag-apply tayo. Ano nga? Palmar aspect. Anterior palmar aspect. This is our medial. Lateral distal anchor. You cross po hanggang dito sa dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Yung mga names po yan, confusing lang po. You have to start here sa may palmar aspect or sa may distal aspect kasi we want to promote flexion. Your X strip will limit extension and will promote flexion motion, which means this will support your wrist joint. This will support your wrist joint into flexion. Okay, yan po yung beginning. Here, palmar, lateral area. Tapos mag-cross siya going proximally sa dorsal. Ito na siya, dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Okay, that's just the beginning. May ending part pa po yung X strip natin. The ending part of your X strip pa is found here sa may dorsal. Okay, dito naman tayo magsisimula. Dorsal, distal, anchor. Going to your medial, proximal, volar, anchor. Again, dito po siya magsisimula sa dorsum of the hand. This is now the end portion of your X strip. The end portion of your X strip. We'll start here in the dorsum of your hand. Going to the front. Okay, going to the medial, proximal, volar aspect. Okay, dorsum of the hand going to the medial, volar, proximal, anchor. Okay, mag-apply tayo ulit. Copy sa notes from the dorsum of the hand. Ito siya, dorsum of the hand going to the medial, proximal, volar, anchor. Volar kasi nasa harap na siya. Volar or anterior. Okay, if you can see here, meron na tayong X. X where at the bottom of the thumb. So po yung thumb ko, merong X po dyan, that's the X strip. Okay, how many times do we apply the X strip? Tatlong beses pa rin po. So let's apply 3 times. Okay, here. Going to the distal, proximal, lateral, dorsal aspect. Okay, I've applied it twice already. Okay, one more time. 3 times kasi, 3 times. One more. All right. Okay. That's step number 4, the application of the X strip. So ito na siya yung X. Ayun, nakikita nyo ba yung X sa screen? You will see here an X at the bottom of the thumb. If you see that there is an X at the bottom of the thumb, then that is correct. Bottom of the thumb, may X. Okay, you will see the X there. Step number 5 is the application of the re-anchor. Application na po tayo ng re-anchor so that we will make sure na hindi siya loose. Okay? Para hindi siya loose. Hindi siya halog. Okay? Medyo hugot siya. Okay, so ito na po siya. This is now my X. This is now my wrist and forearm application. Wrist and forearm application. Okay, how do we know that your procedure is correct? There should be difficulty with extension. Okay, there should be difficulty with extension. Hanggang dyan lang, limited na yung extension ko. If this is my good hand, tingnan nyo yung extension ko, almost 80 degrees. Or naka-normal po ako dito. In my taped hand, hanggang dyan lang po siya. Restricted na po yung extension ko. So we know that the application is correct. Okay, the application is now correct. Okay, how do you know further that what you did is correct? Di po yan COVID. Okay, how do we know further that what we did is correct? We can still perform radial and ulnar deviation while there is limitation when it comes to extension. Again, freely moving po yung abduction and adduction of the wrist or yung radial and ulnar deviation. Free po siya, but your extension is limited. Sige. Question? Okay, Prof, pwede ka pa repeat sa part na from distal, dorsal, distal. Okay, medyo na-lost. Sige. I-repeat natin yung X strip. Yung X strip. Okay, it begins. Yung X strip mo, it begins here sa may palmar aspect, the palm of the hand, going around to the dorsal, lateral, dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Tatlo na siya, dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Tatlong words po to describe the position. Dorsal, lateral, proximal, anchor. Okay, that's the beginning. The ending po, the end of your X strip. Dito siya magsisimula sa dorsum of the hand. Dorsum of the hand, where will it go? It will go to the medial. Tatlong descriptions pa rin. Medial, proximal, volar, anchor. Okay. That you can see the X there. Merong X siya. Okay, the dorsum of the hand. From the dorsum of the hand, this is the ending of your X strip. Dorsum of the hand. It will move going to the medial, proximal, volar na po, anchor. That's your X strip. Merong X sa ilalim ng thumb area. Okay, did you get it, Ma'am Espuerta? Was that okay? Confusing pa rin? Okay, let me write here. Yes, the X strips are visible in the lateral portion. Dito po siya sa ilalim ng thumb. Below the thumb is where you can see the X strip. Just like the knee joint. The knee joint, remember, yung X na sa harap ng knee, dito sa wrist, yung X na sa lateral portion or nasa thumb area. Yes. Okay, very good. That gets it. All right. Any other questions so far? Wala na? Any other reaction, clarification? Wala? Okay, guys, can I proceed to bandaging? Okay, I will now proceed to bandaging, which is still part of our lesson 1. Okay, just one technique for bandaging, and that is the wrist. Okay, wrist bandaging po tayo. Okay, if you can recall, wait, anong subject yung bandaging nyo before? Can anyone share to me anong subject yung bandaging before? Okay, tingnan natin yung comments. Comment nyo dyan. Nasaan yung bandaging?
Basic, ano ganun? BCS. Oo, BCS.
Ay, okay. We have a question here from Ma'am Angeli. Re-anchor, sir, 3 times man. Okay, for re-anchor, once lang po. Again, for re-anchor, just to make sure that everything is secured, once lang po. Isang strip lang siya going around. Okay? One turn lang po siya. Alright, so for bandaging noon sa BCS2, I think it was given per region man siya, di ba? Per region man tagyapon. But this time, what is new about your bandaging is that we will apply bandaging to a patient with amputation. Okay, this is orthosis and prosthesis na class, assistive technologies. I will be adding one technique for patients with amputation. Okay, pero before we go to that amputation part, we will first review your BCS2 bandaging. Okay, we will first review your BCS2 bandaging. Alright? Sige, magsisimula po tayo sa wrist joint. Bandaging of the wrist joint. Okay, bandaging of the wrist joint. Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of bandaging? What are the conditions in which it indicates the use for bandaging? Anyone?
Sprain or
Sprain, yes. Apa? Okay, pag sprain, how can you rationalize why would you apply bandaging sa sprain? Bakit? Anong meron sa sprain? Why do we need to apply bandaging? What are the indications for the use of compression devices or your bandages for sprain? Comment. Sige, tingnan natin sa comment. Support the joint and prevent further injury. To provide support. Tama po, tama. Provide support. Okay, to keep the joints in place. Siyempre, ano siya, no? To prevent further injury, i-immobilize tang area, kaya acute ng injury. Is that correct? Tama ba? To prevent further injury, i-immobilize tang area, i-support tang area para hindi na siya mag-giyo-giyo. Tama ba? Thumbs up po sa options nyo kung tama ang pag-understand ko. You have to do the thumbs up. Ay, raise hands na lang gali. Raise hands. Ayun, raise hand if tama ang pagkaintindi. Okay, there we go. Raise hand. Correct, correct. Tama, tama. Okay, very good, very good. Interactive talaga yung good man. I like this class. Very good. Ay, nice. Mia, hindi mo comment. Thumbs up. Okay, sige, sige. Okay, you put there in your notes the indications for the use of bandaging. Okay, the indications for the use of bandaging. Number one, isulat sa notes po, control edema. Yun, control edema. Di ba pag na-injure ka, acute inflammation, merong 5 cardinal signs, dolor, calor, punctualiza, tumor, and rubor. Okay, yung tumor dyan, that is edema. So what we would want for your case, no? Bakit tayo mag-a-apply ng bandaging? That's to control one cardinal sign of inflammation, which is edema. Okay? So lots of notes, control, edema. Number 2 purpose of your bandaging is to shape the residual limb. Number 2 purpose for the application of your bandaging, bandaging, that's to shape the residual limb. Do you know how to shape the residual limb? Do you know what is a residual limb? Anyone who can share what is a residual limb? Alam niyo na ba yung term na residual limb? Okay, comment. Residual limb. The amputee. Okay, yes. Correct, Sir Conrad. When we say residual limb, ito po yung natirang limb. Kaya nga residual. If you are amputated, the remaining limb in the extremity that was amputated is called the residual limb. Yes, ang nabilin na limb after amputation, that is the residual limb. Kaya tinatawag siyang residual limb. Bakit natin kailangan i-shape ang residual limb? That is for prosthetic fitting. Why do we need to shape the residual limb? It is for prosthetic fitting. Pag ikaw transtibial, kindly copy please, this is very important. Transtibial amputation, meaning below knee, the shape of your residual limb must be cylindrical. Kailangan po cylinder yung shape para perfect yung prosthetic fitting. Again, if I will ask you, ano ang perfect or ideal shape pag ang patient mo transtibial amputation, ano ang perfect or ideal shape ng residual limb? What's your answer? Comment there if you know the answer. Cylindrical, very good. Kailangan cylinder ang shape ng residual limb if transtibial. Okay? Cylinder. Parang ano siya? Parang water bottle. Ito, this is my water bottle. Kailangan ng shape ng residual limb is like this, water bottle. Cylindrical. Cylindrical. Very good. Cylindrical po. Tama. Again ha, please take note. I-encircle mo yung cylindrical. That is the ideal shape of the residual limb ng patient with transtibial amputation. Okay, very good. Cylindrical. Correct, correct. Okay, what if transfemoral naman po? You listen carefully. Transfemoral. Nasaan yung amputation? Is it below or above the knee? Transfemoral. Below or above the knee na amputation? I-break down mo ang word when you analyze transfemoral amputation. Did the amputation occur below or above the knee? I-comment mo. Go. Let's see your comment. Sige. All right. Correct, correct. Okay, it's above the knee. That is correct. Kasi transfemoral. Pag transtibial, below the knee. Pag transfemoral, above the knee. Okay. What is the ideal shape of a transfemoral amputation? Yung shape naman po natin dito, no, is conical. Conical, parang cone, parang ice cream cone. Naka-conical shape po siya. Okay? Again, pag transfemoral, for prosthetic fitting, yung residual limb must be the shape of a cone. Conical naman po pag above the knee amputation. Did you get it? Sige, tingnan natin if you got it. If I will ask you, you comment, ha? You comment. Okay. What is the ideal shape of a residual limb in a patient with transfemoral amputation? Comment mo, what is the ideal shape of the residual limb in a patient with transfemoral amputation? Tingnan natin, tingnan natin. Conical, very good. You're listening. Conical po, very good. Okay, so parang cone siya, parang ice cream cone. Why do we need to shape the residual limb? It is for prosthetic fitting. Okay, it is for prosthetic fitting. Okay? Sige. So, dalawang purpose po ng bandaging natin. It's to control edema for non-amputee patients. And for our amputee patients, it's for shaping the residual limb. Did you get it? Okay. If you got it, kindly comment, thumbs up. Okay. Again, ha, pag non-amputees, we use the bandage to control edema. Pero pag amputation, we do the bandaging to shape the residual limb. Okay? If okay na, thumbs up po sa comment. Very good. Okay. All right, let's go now to your wrist application. Wrist application. For your bandaging, I need, for your rectem sa bandaging, I need you to apply, or I want you to do the rectem using the bandage talaga. But if it is unavailable, you can still use the masking tape. Again, for your rectem, sa bandaging na ha, hindi na tayo, we're done with taping, bandaging na tayo. For bandaging, it's okay if your application is using masking tape. But as much as possible, pag rectem po or practicals, please use or please have your bandage, your elastic bandage, as much as possible, if pwede give. Okay, you try your best to acquire your bandaging, your bandage or your elastic bandage. Pero if wala give, it's okay. You can still use your masking tape. Okay? Sige, let's do the wrist application of your bandage. Again, clarification, bandage na po ito. Bandaging na po ito. Okay, sige. For the wrist, let's start. Anchor on the distal forearm. Anchor on the distal forearm. Anchor on the distal forearm. Tama ba? Okay, nag-anchor na ako sa distal forearm ko. Okay, what's next? Step number 2, ulnar styloid to thumb. Number 2, ulnar styloid to thumb. Okay, tingnan niyo yung ginawa ko. Nag-anchor ako dito sa distal forearm. This is the distal forearm. Nag-anchor lang po ako dito, ha? Distal forearm. What you will do, step 2 is the ulnar styloid to thumb. Ito po yung ulnar styloid ko. Yung direction po ng application ng wrist bandaging is towards the thumb. Tandaan nyo ha, towards the thumb. Okay, so nag-anchor ako. Okay, just this is bandaging ha, this is bandaging. Nag-anchor ako dito sa distal forearm or proximal to the wrist, but this is the distal forearm. Step number 2. Step number 2 is the application from the ulnar styloid going to the thumb. So magpo-cross po ako dito sa dorsum of the hand. Try again, ha? Okay. So again, dito po tayo. Ulnar styloid. Tingnan nyo, ulnar styloid area going to the thumb. Ulnar styloid area going to the thumb. That's step number 2. Step number 3, you pass through the palmar surface. You pass through the palmar surface. Going where? To the little finger. You pass through the palmar surface going to the little finger. Again, step number 3, going to the palmar surface to the little finger. Step number 4, okay, dito na tayo magpo-cross from the dorsum of the hand to the radial styloid. Dorsum of the hand, ito po siya, dorsum of the hand. It will cross the dorsum of the hand to the radial styloid. Nasaan po yung radius mo? That's the one below the thumb. Okay, again, step number 3, review lang natin. Step number 3, the palmar surface going to the little finger. Step number 4, dorsum of the hand going to the radial styloid. Number 5, pass through the carpal tunnel. Number 5, pass through the carpal tunnel. And number 6, back to the radial styloid, back to the ulnar styloid at i-repeat mo yung whole process. Okay? Okay, figure of 8 lang po siya. Figure of 8 lang po siya. Okay. All right, again, you start here, distal anchor. You start anchor na distal forearm. You start from the ulnar styloid, going to the thumb. From the thumb to the palmar surface, little finger. Going down to the dorsum of the hand, ulnar styloid. And repeat going back to the ulnar styloid, passing through the carpal tunnel. I-repeat mo lang po yung pattern. That's the wrist application. Questions? Once lang. Okay, this is bandaging. Bandage po yung ginagamit natin. Yung elastic bandage, yung parang brown. So you have to repeat the pattern until all the bandage is used up. Okay, until all the bandage is used up. Kasi ano siya, it's the bandaging na po tayo. Ang sa anchor. Okay. Sa anchor, nang you can apply once. Huhugot na siya. If hugot na siya. Okay? You can turn once and then diretso ka na sa figure of 8. Diba? Figure of 8 din siya. Ulnar styloid going to the thumb, passing to the palmar surface, little finger to radial styloid, carpal tunnel, back to the ulnar styloid. Sulit-sulit na siya, figure of 8. Okay? Your final anchor, by the way, no, take note, your final anchor, pag naubos na yung elastic bandage mo, please use tape. Pwede masking tape or scotch tape or adhesive tape, but do not use the metal clip. Again, everyone, kindly take note, do not use the metal clip. Okay, in securing the end of the bandage, do not, again ha, do not use the metal clip. Bakit kaya? Because you might injure the skin. You might scrape the skin. Okay? So it is not advised to use the metal clip as your security. You use your scotch tape, or better yet, i-insert mo na lang ang distal portion sa, or ang terminal portion sa isa ka part ng mga taping. Bandaging. Okay, again, do not use the metal clip. Okay? Alright. So again, once lang siya for the anchor. Okay? Pero kung feel mo halog, so you can do twice, it's okay. Ang importante is correct ang figure of 8 craft. Okay? I want you to focus more on the figure of 8 na process. Ano siya? Ulnar styloid going to the thumb, to the palmar surface, little finger to the radial styloid, carpal tunnel, balik sa ulnar styloid. Okay? Mas gusto ko nga memorize ng figure of 8 pattern. That's very important. Okay? Again, comment nyo po na natin for the security of the bandage. Can you use the metal clip? Yes or no? So, ano ganun is after carpal tunnel? Okay. All right, very good. No, no, no. That is correct. Again, do not use the metal clip. Okay, do not use the metal clip if you want to secure your bandage. Very good. No po yung tamang sagot. Okay. There's a question here from Sir Duke. Prof, ano gamit sa after sa carpal tunnel? After the carpal tunnel, you go back to the ulnar styloid. Again, after the carpal tunnel, you go back to the ulnar styloid. And then you repeat the whole pattern all over again. Bandage of palm. Okay. How do you know that correct ang bandage of palm? Sorry, tape mo siya big. If you can see here, medyo naga-homogeneous ang tsura niya because I'm using the tape. If you want for bandaging, I'll send you the video on how it's performed. Okay, may video kami gawa ni Sir CJ Brillas on how the procedure is performed para makita niyo din ang pattern of the crisscross. Okay? Ma'am, Pam, I'm sorry for today, no, but I'll give you the video later. I'll send the link here so YouTube, no, on how the crisscross of the pattern, the bandaging of the tape. Okay? I promise to send the video. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Sige, so for the bandaging, isa lang danay. Dito lang kadanay sa wrist, because on our next meeting, we'll have the knee, the ankle, and at the same time, the residual limb bandaging. Right? Knee, ankle, residual limb bandaging for the next meeting. Okay? Any questions so far? Any clarification? Wala naman? All right, guys. For now, thank you very much for your active participation. Close your notes. We are done.